We are very happy to be joined by Dr. Cassiday Preston tonight. He's the owner of High Performance. He's a high performance coach, owner of Consistent Elite Performance. He is a former professional hockey player who then went to school, ended up with a PhD in psychology from York University. Started this business, and he's going to talk to us tonight about the 5 pillars of mental toughness. And he works with a lot of pro teams, a lot of college, university teams, NCAA, Canadian college teams, as well as OHL teams and professional hockey teams as well. So we're really excited. We're really excited to have him join our call tonight. And I think if you guys pay attention, you'll get a lot out of it. There'll be an assessment form sent out by the coaches after. So again, pay attention. Make sure your cameras are on, and let's get something out of this. I think the only thing I'll say before handing it over to Dr. Preston is the news we're getting from York Region is really good, and us getting back to practicing by the end of the month. So hopefully that doesn't change in the next couple of weeks, but everything we're hearing is that we'll be back indoors very soon, and that's obviously welcome news for everybody, and we'll hit the ground running when we are. So that being said, Dr. Preston, over to you, and thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I'll just share my screen here. I've got some slides that I'll walk through, and one of the first things that I'm going to get reinforce here is that this is a workshop, right? So the more you guys, I got somebody's mute participants. Yeah, there's a couple people. Maybe mute yourself. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. So so like I said, it's a workshop. So meaning the more you put in, the more you'll get out of it, right? We're going to cover 3 main areas, but you have to put in the work. It's not like just listening gives you a ton of benefits. Obviously, that's nice to listen, but to actually do the exercise. So if you have a notepad, paper, pen, we're going to cover what it is to be in the zone, those 5 pillars, and those are the key. And that's what the assessment helps you kind of self-reflect and uncover. That link's in the chat. 2 is then why we get in your own head, why we get in our own way, why we hold ourselves back, these mental mistakes that we make. So a bit of the concepts. And then what we're actually spend most of our time on at the second half is actually the strategies. So strategies you can start doing so that you can get in the zone more, be more consistent at bat, in the field, so you can play at your potential. So that's what we're talking about today. We'll also touch on some strategies around motivation, because obviously COVID and the restrictions on us can be definitely demotivating right now, and so I'll touch on strategies on that as well. So like it was mentioned, I did play hockey. My background's not in baseball. I'm not a great baseball player, but I was fortunate enough to play in the OHL, 5 years of junior, a little bit of pro, and then 5 years of university hockey. And it was at that time where I really fell in love and the importance of the mental side of the game, because I'd play great one day and then I'd be a disaster, or I'd go on a hot streak and then a cold streak. I'd be confident and then be doubting myself, or get worried about what other people think and trying to please others, and be motivated and then wanting to quit. So there was all these highs and lows, and it really kind of learned the long way and learned a lot of great lessons, and to work on my mental game so I could be more consistent. And that's why obviously I went to school and now doing the work that I do now. And the way that I like to always frame is like, I've had a ton of great teachers. I had a lot of people that have helped me learn along the way, learn different areas of the game that have that have really impacted my game. So sorry, I'm just going to close the chat there. I popped it open. So let's dive in. What is this all about? It's consistent elite performance we want to do. And there's kind of 2 obvious things that really highlight your performance. Your physical fitness, okay, is really important. You have to have that. You got to be strong, fit. Your technical skills, so your actual ability to hit, throw, field. You have to work on those things in order to be an elite performer. But our mindset, our mental toughness, getting in the zone is key to being consistent, right? It's one thing to be great one game, but can you be great game in, game out, and play at your potential, be creative and loose? Your mindset's key. And we know this in all sports, and definitely in baseball, and we work with a lot of baseball players. And one of the questions I'm always curious at, and would ask people to throw it just in the chat, what percentage of your performance would you attribute to mindset? It can't be 100% because your technical and physical skills are there. It's probably not 0. It's often 50, and usually the higher and more competitive the athletes are, the bigger the mindset piece is, because everybody's strong, fast, and skilled. And what separates the best players is their ability to be confident. So I'd be curious, just throw it in the chat. Baseball players, a lot high, 75. in that range, a little higher for some, a little lower. And then the way to think about that, you're not the only ones putting it high. How much time and energy are you putting towards that? Right. And now is a great time to be working on your mindset and the mental game. And so today, again, the strategies here, it's a workshop to give you the ability to work on this more, be more consistent. One of the ways also I frame myself or think about the work that we're going to cover today is I'm like a consistency coach, right? Helping you get the most out of your physical and technical training. Just like you have strength and conditioning coaches, skills coaches, pitching coaches, if when you do that work, a strength coach tells you to do this, work on this, you get stronger. If you don't do it, you don't get stronger and faster. Same is true for me. The strategies we'll talk about, you do them, you'll be more consistent. You'll play at your potential. If you don't, you probably won't be, and you'll get less consistent results. So again, workshop, apply it. And as we mentioned, like the zone's really key. And we're going to talk about that and the main outcomes that we're working towards. And Alex Rodriguez really highlighted the importance of that. And it's not about being perfect and getting in the zone all the time, but he's talked about one game, just in one full season, you want one game to be completely in the moment, present in the zone. And so when we're reflecting, you do your assessment, we're definitely talking about getting your zone up. What percentage of your time and energy are you in the moment? And commonly that's like 60% for most athletes. That means 40% of the time they're not complete in the moment. And therefore it goes hand in hand with their ability to be playing at their potential. Consistency is 60%. So why is this 60? Well, how do we get more in the zone? Well, that's where those 5 pillars come in, because it's like, this is a pretty abstract concept and there's all these different subcomponents that work together. So I'm going to explain them here, and then we're going to spend most of the time actually, how do you get these better? How do you get them better? And one of the ways to think about, again, you can assess yourself on these 2 questions and the other ones if you do that assessment, where the link's in the chat, and I'll share it again at the end. So the first of the 5 is focus, particularly focusing on the process. I'm sure you've all heard that before, like focus on what you can control in the process and not outcomes. But a lot of people really struggle with that. I know myself as an athlete, I was constantly worrying about my stats. Baseball players are worrying about your stats. What do you think? Where are you in the order? Are you getting a scholarship, going to the next levels? It's really, what do the coaches think? We lose focus of what we can control, and we get caught up in those external things, even though we shouldn't. And so we'll talk about strategies to help with that, to get that number up. Secondly is composure. How well do you stay composed, particularly under pressure, and manage your emotions? I definitely got frustrated. A lot of athletes lose their composure, pressure situations, get really worried about making mistakes. Those numbers go down. So this is a good area of growth. Third is resilience. How well do you deal with adversity? Baseball is full of adversity. All sports are. How well do you deal with, things not going your way, striking out, making an error, etc.? Does it throw you off? Does it get down? Do you get derailed? The lower your number is here on that assessment. Okay, there's another area you could grow. And fourth big one is confidence. Are you confident in who you are and your abilities? Or are we worried about what other people think? Are we doubting ourselves and too hard? And obviously, these are all related, and they're all really important to get in the zone. The foundational and 5th pillar is, are you intrinsically motivated, which we'll get to soon, versus just extrinsically motivated. And like I said earlier, this is huge right now. It's like if you can stay motivated now and be working hard and doing the little things on what you can control for the next few months and have the right mindset there, it's only going to serve you better when the restrictions start to open back up. You get to start practicing again. You'll be that much better of a mindset. So hopefully this, simple slide highlights what is your mindset, what is mental toughness, how does that affect you to get into the zone and therefore achieve consistent elite performance. So again, once you take that assessment, if you haven't done so, the numbers you get aren't bad. It's not like, oh, I got a 4, I'm rating myself. It doesn't matter what your numbers are, as much as the lower the number, the greater the opportunity for growth. Just like if you're not the fastest runner, well, that's an opportunity or something you can work on. So, and wherever you are, it's very common. It's often people are in 4s and 5s and 6s. All that matters is then know the strategies and apply them and focus on the solutions to improve, and then keep doing it. Sometimes people are 9s and 10s, they stop doing the work and you slip down. So that gives you an idea of kind of the concepts. I want to share one quick and probably the biggest story of my own struggles in my athletic career, where I struggled with all of those mental skills. And that was my first year in the OHL. I was all pumped. I'd worked really hard. I jumped from junior hockey to the OHL, and it's my NHL draft year. So I'm going in and I've got big expectations. I should do this. I'm going to be great. I'm going to get drafted to the NHL, very outcome focused. And what happens, I actually start on the starting lineup to start the game of the first game of the season. But then it doesn't quite go my way, start sliding down, start playing a bit more safe, start doubting myself, get less playing time. About 12 games in, coach goes, going to be hard to play you now. You haven't really produced. It's not going your way. I'm like, okay. So now I don't play much the rest of the year. I have a 0-point season as a forward. That is like not good, right? Like that's not great. So my confidence is down. I'm playing more worried. I'm actually in and out of the lineup 34 times. So really big struggle. I'm like, not even getting to play. One time we drove from Toronto to Ottawa. I'm dressed, I play, and I don't even get a shift. So really doubting myself, hitting rock bottom. And the worst part though is I go to my hometown, North Bay, where I'm from, 3 hours north of here, and I'm getting chirped. Like people are like, oh, I could have got a point if I put. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, and so it was definitely tough to stay motivated. I wanted to quit. It was definitely tough to stay confident, managing my emotions, dealing with all this adversity. Okay, staying focused on the process. The good news was I was able to bounce back. I came back the next year. I went on to have the career I had. This does not have to define me or anybody. So if you're struggling or any times you do struggle, you can recover and you can get back and improve your mindset, get back into the zone and work on these skills. So with that said, someone says roll the buzz. Yeah, St. Mike's. So that's where I played most of my junior hockey was at St. Mike's. So let's go to now the concepts and the biggest mistakes. And I like to start off this conversation with breaking down the zone and these 5 pillars into 3 simple categories, which is our thoughts that lead to how we feel, and then therefore what we put our attention and focus on. And this is what makes up our mindset, our ability to get in the zone in those 5 pillars, which lead to the physical outcomes, how you play, the actions, are you assertive and flowing, and the results that for you achieve and your stress levels and enjoyment. So the overall experience. And then the way to break this down to understand what we're going to learn about is one way we often go is this way, the red way, the way we don't want to go. We have limiting beliefs, like I have to be perfect, etc. So therefore we start to feel worried, doubtful, down, frustrated. This is a symptom of the thoughts that we're having. And therefore, our focus is on results. Can't stop thinking about the results or the errors or the mistakes or what other people think. And you overthink, you're overanalyzing. And therefore, what happens? This, in summary, is called being in your own head. And it starts with these limiting beliefs. So I'm going to talk about 3 most common ones shortly. But to complete this analogy, thoughts, feelings, focus, actions, results, how do you then play when you're in your own head? You hesitate, you panic, you're much more rigid and not smooth. And therefore, don't perform at your best. You're more stressed out. And this becomes those downward spirals getting derailed. What we want to do, and we'll get to, especially when we talk about the strategies, is know the truth, see the guiding principles. When we have the right mindset, then we feel more calm, confident, and therefore play that way. And we focus on the process and learning. And this is being in the zone, the mindset we want to create. And how do we then play assertive, free, flowing, and the results at our potential and fun. So it's kind of a busy slide, but it does a good point of highlighting where we don't want to be going and where we want to start going and build habits to go this way. So what that now looks like, and I want to really break down and make very clear, are these top limiting beliefs, these top mistakes that we want to stop doing. And therefore the vaccines are kind of the counterparts I'll touch on throughout and then really dive in more in the end is these guiding principles of the truth. And one way to look at these is result-centered. We're really focused on we think it's all about the results, all about the outcomes, how we do, instead of losing sight of, and we lose sight of intrinsic motivation. 2 is anytime we're being judgmental. This is good, that's bad. I got to be perfect versus acceptance and understanding things. And thirdly is looking for quick fixes. Just be positive, just be confident. If it was that simple, everybody would do it. Okay. Versus consistently doing the little things, understanding the process of working on your mindset. And one way to frame it, and I'll say this probably a few more times, these are limiting beliefs. They're not true. It's like 2 + 2 = 5. That's not true. So, but sometimes we believe things that aren't true, like I should be perfect, etc. And therefore, then what happens? We get in our own head, and all these other problems come up. So the idea here is these are the truth, and we'll show that now. We'll be showing it throughout. But the idea is I like to use that 2 + 2 = 5 because oh yeah, damn, that's not true. But often, sometimes some people could believe it. And our society is often preaching this stuff. So that's one of the reasons why. So let's dive in to explain those a little deeper. The first one being that result-centered, extrinsically motivated concept. And so many of us are constantly seeking success and praise, and we're trying to avoid failure and criticism. We judge it as good, and this is bad. This is some fantasy that we're trying to achieve, and this is some nightmare that we're trying to avoid. And the point being is you can't just succeed all the time. You can't be liked by everybody all the time, right? You're going to get failure. You're going to get criticism. You can't avoid it. But yet we're trying to avoid this and seek this. And it's this like rat race that's very externally focused. And so what does that do? Well, we stay results centered and we're not learning and growing. And it's, when we fear things, like we're afraid of bad things, these are bad things we're trying to avoid. How do we feel? Not good. We get down by them, we get deflated, and we get inflated over here. We get yo-yo up and down, up and down. Instead, and it doesn't mean that's like, this is the outcome you want, and you don't want this outcome, but you're going to get both. So the mindset that we're talking about, intrinsic motivation, sees these things as learning opportunities. They're focused on something bigger, something more to learn, grow, create. Think about when you first started playing baseball, what you really loved about the sport. It wasn't about, oh, I just got to succeed and get praised all the time. It was just playing, learning, growing. And so it's getting back in touch with that love of the game, the process that matters. And when you do that, the mindset we talk about is seeing these things as forms of feedback where you're positive reinforcement on one side and learning opportunities on the other. Both, you're going to get both, and both are helping you achieve that intrinsic motivation. So another way to frame this is like, okay, why do I play? Well, I play so I can get results, so I can get praise, so I get to the next level, so we can win. It's have-centered. Our society is very consumeristic. I want to achieve more, have more. I want to get good grades. I want to be liked by other people, in business people. I want to make more money. I want fame. I want likes on Instagram, whatever it is. It's very achievement-centered. That's why they think that's why we do things. And therefore, if that's your why, then, I have to do more so I can have more. So it's because I have to do this, therefore I'm going to do this so I can have it. And then you get this rat race. I got to do more so I can have more. I'm going to do more and have more. And then it's like, if I have these results and I do these things, then I am a great baseball player. Now I'm successful. This is who I am now. But that's backwards. The truth is, who do you want to be first? Why do you even want to play baseball? What does it mean to you? Who are you being? And then because you want to be an elite baseball player, this is what you do. And if you're being this and doing that, this is the result. It is not the why. It's the other way around. It goes from be to do to have, not from have, do to be. And yet again, our society is really pushing a have-centered, result-centered mindset. So learning this and understanding this really shifts the mindset that you're in and lets go of these limiting beliefs where you're worried about results and we fantasize about success. Okay. So the flip way to think about this is a really cool way just in life, but even in baseball and all sports, is when you're really focused on success and praise and you get it. It's not like you're all of a sudden like way happier, right? And it's like, people that make more money, it's like, oh, they're way happier. No, they're not. It does not increase well-being. Winning baseball games all the time doesn't mean you're just, going to be happy all the time. Obviously, it's nice and you want to win baseball games, but you could win a baseball game and not play well. Are you that happy? Not necessarily. Coach probably going to ream you out. He's not going to be happy. And then secondly is if you're constantly doing this and constantly trying to please other people and chase all these external things, it's actually associated with increased stress, increased ill-being. And the flip side, when we're focused on growing, creating, contributing again, it increases our enjoyment. When you play well, it's like playing a great game, but not getting the outcome and losing or tying. But like you were engaged in the process, you played well, you were creating, contributing, learning. Okay. It's like, oh, well, at least you can hold your head high. And it actually decreases stress because you're focused on the true meaning of the game, your love of the game. Again, obviously you would want both. Like you want to win and play well, but sometimes you don't get both. And this is true in all areas of life. And there's great research that highlights this. And yet our society doesn't know that. We're constantly still seeking these. So the sorry, somebody's not on mute again.
That's always my way.
Yeah. Not sure if
guys, mute your phones, please. Sorry about that.
Liam's iPhone there.
Yeah. Mute your phone, Liam.
So because I'm a good listener, so if somebody talks, I just want to listen. Okay. So, even though I'm going to be talking straight almost for 60 minutes here, I am going to ask some questions. Okay. So, anyways, all right, back to the next area. So that was that result centered versus intrinsic motivation. Point 2 about like the mental mistakes, why we get in our head, is taking control versus judging things. And a great example of this, and I'll have some hockey examples. I have some baseball ones at the end as well. But there's a hockey example of a player He's playing on a really good team, and he's really judging himself negatively because he's getting limited playing time. He's on a strong team, and he's going, oh, like it's not fair. I should be getting more playing time. I was on a different team. I get more opportunity, right? Very similar to anybody that's, been on a good team or not getting the opportunity. We often get negative about it. Okay, this sucks. This is judging everything. So he's getting really frustrated, negative going to the rink, not making the most out of the opportunities he got because he's not in the right mindset. His results, not great, not producing as well. So when he shifted his mindset, started to focus on what he can control, started to make the most out of each shift, accepted his situation, owned who he was and where he was, he started getting back to playing with confidence, motivated, making the most out of his situation, not playing too safe, starting to take risks again, and obviously focus on the opportunity. What happens? Result, much improved. Okay, starts making more out of the shifts that he gets, improves his production as a hockey player. So again, highlights this shift in mindset. When you're over here, you're hurting your performance. I'll give one other last example of those key concepts, which is Patrick. And he was really using that mindset of like, well, I just got to be more positive, just be more confident and forget about things. That doesn't work. If it was just as simple as be positive when you go at bat or pitch, then everybody would just be positive all the time. It's not that simple. There's a process to it, and understanding the concepts and our thoughts and emotions is what matters. And so he was actually a really good hockey player. He still is a good hockey player. This was last year. He was 20th in the league before starting to work on his mindset and shifting these concepts. But he had felt he had more to give. He was overly focused on results, not doing any mental training, didn't have good habits in a lot of areas, but produced. Like in hockey, this is pretty good. 1.1 points a game, 20th in the league. But what's really cool about his story is after committing to the process, sticking with it, building momentum, focusing on the little details, because the little things matter, right? The little things you do each day add up over time in your training, in your mindset, in your physical training. And he built up a lot of momentum. He finished the season at 2.3 points a game. So it's a massive jump. And he was like 5th in the league. It doesn't get better at hockey or his sport, but shifted his mindset. So these are the concepts about why we want to let go of these limiting beliefs. I want you to be reflective. I'm going to ask you right now, which ones have you had? Which limiting beliefs do you feel like you've adopted the most? What 2 + 2 = 5? Like I have to be perfect. It's all about seeking praise. It's just must-win games. It's all about the results. My situation sucks. I can't do anything. Quick fixes. So versus this, which we're now going to dive into shortly. So like I said, I would like you to throw in the chat, because it's good engagement and to see, you're not the only one, that what are the limiting beliefs that are holding you back the most, or the ones that resonated with you the most. And I'll throw that slide back up, and just, you could write results centered, write whatever you want. At this point, hopefully you're getting something out of this already. It's like some things are starting to click from a conceptual standpoint. What we're then going to do is now go into the strategies. How do we take some of these concepts that we just touched on and make it work? How do you get into the zone more now? And so it sounds like a lot of people can relate to some of them, couple. So good to hear. Good engagement. I like it. All right. So I'll move on now to the last area, which is applying these top 3 strategies. And this is the one we're going to spend the most time on because it's the most effective. We want to use a reset routine before you start playing, before practices, before games, to help you get centered in the clear mind in the moment into the zone, as well as anytime you get out of it, you want to get back in. It's all about awareness, that acceptance piece. Okay, it's an actual strategy. It's not a quick fix. It's something you have to do consistently. It's not something you need to do some of the time. It's something you want to do and build it in as a habit, just like working out, eating healthy. These are habits that are helpful. The second thing, we'll talk about these other 2 strategies just briefly, but the concept is reflection. It's becoming more self-aware, staying neutral, having an accurate self-image, and keep growing. And that's how we end a day. And before is like, how do we prepare? Using imagery, setting our intention for who do we want to be and how do we want to play. And these 3 things combined are the daily things you can be doing to apply the concepts, to get the most out of your mindset, to get into the zone consistently. So a nice way to frame that is, a busy slide here, but these 3 things are the strategies. They're how to apply the concepts to get into the zone, apply these thoughts, feelings, focus, so that you can get the outcomes and the results. And a nice, funny kind of analogy I got from Todd Herman is think about Superman and Clark Kent. This is your best self, and this is your worst self over here. And if your best self Superman, your worst self's this, who's the real person though? And a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, the real person is Clark Kent, and then he becomes Superman. No, you always have that ability to be present in the moment and trust yourself. But sometimes we adopt and hold ourselves back. We adopt limited beliefs and hold ourselves back. So this is kind of the fake you, and this is the true, real you. And we need to let go of this and activate, use our reset routine, reflection, mental prep to get your best self and be your best self more consistently. So I'll use this analogy a couple more times throughout, but I wanted to frame it at the beginning of this strategy part. So like I said, we'll do a lot of on the reset routine. And the way that I like to break it down is pink elephants and bubbles. So why pink elephants? Well, if I say, don't think of a pink elephant, what do you think of? A pink elephant, because that's the way our brain works. And yet often what do we do when we go up bad? It's like, okay, don't worry about that mistake. Don't worry about the error. Don't worry about the striking out, like, or making a mistake. That's not helping. You're just going to stay focused on it. And, or like, just be confident. It doesn't work that way. And instead it's like, stop doubting yourself, etc. That doesn't work. And if you think of your mindset and your focus as a bubble, right? So you're all living your own little bubble. And what do we want? We want a clear bubble, focus on the process. But what happens? Pink elephants show up, the shit you don't want to focus on. Okay. And it comes in and it weighs on you. It's, you get a cluttered mind, a noisy mind, a busy mind. And what we want to learn to do is go to it and clear those pink elephants. You can't outrun them. It's not like you can ignore it. Oh, I'm just going to forget about it. You can't forget about it. You can't just take your memory and lose it. But what you can do is go to it, understand your thoughts and emotions, be aware of them, and learn to deal with them so that they're not gone forever. But these thoughts, emotions, it's like you forgot about them, but they're outside of your bubble. And they could come back, but it's about strengthening that mind. That's what it means to be your best self, to be in the zone. All right. So that's what the reset routine is about. And I show pink elephants and bubbles because it's not like I can show you an exercise or a technique. This is thoughts and emotions and focus. And so we use these analogies. Now, there's clearly lots of different pink elephants, right? So slumps, scouts, what other people think, and sometimes a lot of them come in, and that can definitely throw you off. So the reset routine has 3 big pieces to it. And you want it to be a routine. It doesn't have to be more than 10, 15 seconds. And it's about accepting and letting go. I'm going to give a bunch of examples of this shortly. And this is the feeling stage. It's the pink elephant bubble concept. Because the next stage is to breathe or relax your body, have strong posture, okay? And then close your eyes and focus on what you want to do. This is important because often we're too tense and we need to relax our body so that we can relax our mind, and that helps us clear things. And we don't want to be too aroused and too tense. And this is also important because, after a mistake or before the game, you want to be really clear on what you want to do and what isn't within your control. But if you just do these 2 things without clearing the thoughts and emotions that are weighing on you, you won't play as well. It doesn't work as well. So this is the hard part. This is the not so tangible thing that I want to help you make it more tangible and get better at doing. So let's dive in. There's 5 questions you can reflect on, and then I'm going to give a bunch of different examples. But the 5 main questions are identifying your triggers or events or pink elephants. And then once you know the trigger, you also want to identify like what your body's doing, because when you get triggered, when you get in your own head, your body's going to have a fight or flight response, meaning like it's like, oh no, it's a threat situation. And that could mean it's a knot in your stomach, you feel heavy, you feel like your head's going to explode, etc. And whatever that is, what you want to do is be aware of that, because that means it's time to reset. It means you have a trigger. All right. So know what your triggers are, then know this. And then what you want to do, then this is just like kind of homework, studying for a test, identify why it triggers you. What about it feels, keyword feels, unacceptable? Okay, what is that limiting belief? Oh, I should be perfect. That can't happen. It's everything's over if I make a mistake here. Catastrophizing it. But the more you get clear on that, what's so unacceptable? Oh, the umpire should be perfect, or like my teammate shouldn't have dropped that ball. Like whatever it is, the more you get doing this, it's going to that pink elephant. You want to understand it. Versus like, I don't want to think about that. No, like actually go think about it for a bit. Get to clear, what is that 2 + 2 = 5? So, and we're going to go through a bunch of different examples shortly. 4 is how can you be more willing to accept it? What do you need to understand and regain perspective? Keyword is willingness. It's not like it's an ability problem, like some of you guys can accept things and some of you can't. No, everybody can accept it. It's a choice. Am I willing to accept it? And often we're not because we don't have perspective. Again, I'll give you some examples shortly that will help you through that. And the last big question would be related to focus on what is in your control. All right. So those are the things that I think there's a worksheet that you guys can get, but this is a big slide to give you clarity around this accept and let go concept of the reset routine. So let's dive into some 4 big examples and related to those main mental skills. The first, which would be results. A lot of us have a hard time letting go of results. It's like, I need to get the at bat. I can't strike out again, or I have to get the pitch, or whatever it is. Don't want to make an error, right? We have a hard time letting go. So my favorite and extreme example of letting go of results is the samurai. So the samurai are these great warriors, right? They're really well prepared. They go to war, and they do something really interesting, though, before they go to war. They would accept the possibility that they might die. So they say goodbye to their families that they might not come home. So what's the benefit of doing that? Well, while they're at war, they're fearless. They've come to terms with the possibilities. And so versus like, oh, I can't die. How would you fight? Oh, I'm afraid to die. Like you would fight more afraid. So, and you wouldn't stop thinking about the result. And so the concept here is, how does that apply for you? Well, it's accepting the possibility that you might swing and miss. You could throw a strike and take a hit. You could make an error. And if you can't let go of the results, or, coach might criticize you, or the scouts might not like something you did. That's part of being human and being a baseball player. You're not perfect. And so one of my favorite lines, and we talk about it a lot, is like, we're not perfect. Just like the best baseball players in the world, they make mistakes. And this is a great quote by Derek Jeter, like everyone makes mistakes. And you got to try to learn from them, right? And yet a lot of us have this 2 + 2 = 5 belief that we should be perfect. I shouldn't make that mistake though. I shouldn't make that many mistakes. Well, you're human and you can learn from them. And as long as you can't accept it, guess what? It's a pink elephant that's going to weigh on you. And now you're more likely to make more mistakes. So that's a good principle. And then the way to reflect on this is, what results do you feel like you really need to make, want to make, can't stop thinking about, or mistakes that it's like, I can't make that mistake. So what are those ones? And just throw it in the chat, because this is a good way to think about, I'm going to do this for 3 more areas. What are the results or the mistakes that you have a hard time letting go? Okay. Throw in the chat. I would guess errors is going to be on the list. Striking out, looking, right? There you go. Errors, walks, mental mistakes, misplays, walks, Ks. There you go. Bad games in the past. Yeah, so there we go. So now so in a way, that's a trigger. Those, to some people, some of them might be a really big trigger, some it might not be as big. So then some of the questions that help further make that reset routine you're willing to accept and understand is, remember, are the top athletes perfect in those results? Do they never make a walk or make an error? No, they don't. They do make those mistakes. So they're not perfect. And so then why should you be perfect? Okay, can you, and again, I'm not trying to encourage you to make mistakes. We don't want those outcomes. But if you can't come to terms with it, then you're going to be actually more likely to make them. You're going to be overthinking in your head. Let it go, surrender and let it go, and then focus on what you can control. Can you learn from those mistakes? So obviously you can. Okay, and what is more important, learning or results? Go back to that intrinsic versus result center. It's actually the most meaningful thing is to learn and grow. Is that, oh, if I gotta get this batting percentage today or this week? No, what matters are you getting better as a batter. And if you learn and grow, then you'll get to where you want to go long term. All right. So there's a good example. Okay. Write some of these down again. It's like, the more you engage and you work here, the more you'll get out of it. And then apply it again into the concepts after. So that's number one. A second strategy, an area to dive into is understanding the context. So I have a few things to comment on here. First is, like, often we have a hard time embracing context because we feel like we need to do really well. And so common things you'll hear coaches say is like, this is a must-win game, which is often true. It's like, yeah, you do have to win, or maybe you don't advance. But does that mean it's optional to win the other games? And this became glaringly obvious once when my coach at U of T comes in and goes, let's really try and win this one. And I was like, no shit. Like, of course we're trying. Well, you think I showed up not to win? And oftentimes we put the context and we're like, oh, this game's so important. And it's just a game. And if we get too much caught up in the context, it's going to actually throw off our composure, our arousal level. And so a good way to explain that is checkers. And you can relate to this if you make a mistake in practice, you make a mistake in a game, like the mistakes you guys talked about, like an error. If you make that mistake in practice, you're probably like, oh, all right, I'm over it. But you make it in a game, it probably feels really bad. But it's the same mistake. So that's the difference in context. So I'm going to talk about checkers now for like 2 minutes. Okay, so bear with me. And does anybody in here like checkers? Think they're a good checkers player? Anybody? Okay, Sleepy over here. Okay, Sleepy, I saw his hand go up. So Sleepy, turn your mute off here. Me and Sleepy are going to talk about checkers. And things are going to get interesting because I'm pretty good. So Sleepy, me and you, what's Sleepy's name? What's the real name? We can't.
It's Michael. It's Michael.
It's Michael. Okay, Michael. Me and you play checkers. Do you want to win?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'll probably win because I'm pretty good. But now if it's $1 million checkers game, winner gets $1 million. You want to win now, Michael?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely wants to win. And what happens now in this $1 million game versus a regular game of checkers, me and Michael playing for $1 million, and I double jump him. I start winning. What's likely to happen to Michael? He goes, oh shit, I'm not going to win the $1 million. He is distracted. His arousal level goes up. He's getting pissed, right? Frustrated and not focusing on what he can control. And vice versa, if he actually did double jump me, unlikely, he starts winning, he might go, oh, I'm going to win $1 million. Again, distracted on the result, arousal level getting too hyped, not staying calm, collected in the sweet spot. And the point being is the game doesn't change. It was just the context. Whether it's me and Michael for free and just pride, or for $1 million, it's the same game. Me, Michael, checkers. And so it's the same for you. You're throwing in practice and you're pitching there or you're at bat there versus in a game. It's you, the ball, the bat, players, right? Like sometimes the players change a bit, obviously, but your job is the same. And a lot of us get so caught up in the context. It's like, oh, it's so much worse to make that mistake in a game than practice. Well, it's a mistake's a mistake. If you make mistakes here, you make mistakes there. You do really well in practice and do really well in a game. Is it better? It might feel better, but is it actually better? It's just a game. Don't get caught up outside of the game and focus on the context because that's going to throw off your arousal level. And let me share a really good example of this, which is a study of soccer. It was like professional soccer players, penalty kicks. And what this study highlights is that when it was mid-game, professional soccer players, 84% success rate for a penalty kick. Okay, kind of neutral because it's mid-game. But once it goes to do or die situation, threat situation, you miss, you lose. It's the very end of the game, you're the last kicker, your team's down. So if you score, there's just more kicks. You don't actually win. So when you perceive it as a threat situation, it's like, oh no, and they're focused on the context, what do you think is going to happen? Success rate dropped by the kicker to 62%, 22% drop. And the game didn't change, right? The ball players, same spot, context changed. And then when you flip it, chance to win, be the hero. So now if you kick and score, then you win. And if you miss, there's just more kicks. So very much this opportunity to get to be the hero. What happens? 92% success rate. So that's a 30% difference in performance by the kickers. And this is a massive study on professional soccer players, but the game didn't change. Like it's ball, player, net, all in the exact same spot. What's changing is, are they getting caught up in the context? Their arousal level goes up. These players that choke and panic, they tense up. They rush through the routines. They're not looking at the net anymore. They're overly focused on the ball and not doing the process correctly because they're focused on the context. So for you, when do you feel pressure? When do you not understand the context or worry about your performance? Is it every game? Is it big games? Is it when scouts are there? When are you, like, is it at bats? Is it in the fielding? Is it when you're pitching? Is it the end of a game? So is there any time, and again, throw this into the chat because it's good to see that you're not the only one, okay? And again, some people might be, oh, it's just a little bit of pressure here. I feel like the context, I get distracted by the context in these situations, okay? So, and for some people, it's like, oh, I really feel the context in this situation. This is just an awareness exercise. These are another potential type of trigger. Makes sense? So, yeah, big games, do or die games, okay? Big stakes, high stakes. Guy on 3rd and 2 outs, there's a good example. Oh, now I got to be better. And I've talked to lots of pitchers before, and it's like, oh yeah, guy on 3rd and there's 2 outs. Oh, now I got to become a better pitcher. Like, will you all of a sudden just magically become better? Okay, like, or you're the last at bat, your team needs you to get a hit. It's like, oh, now I have to be a better hitter than normal. How the heck are you just gonna magically become better? Like, I hope you get the outcomes, but it's not like you magically improve. Okay, bases loaded. Okay, you're on a cold streak, you feel the pressure, you got to break it, right? So, all great examples. So again, write those down, and you are reflecting on the like, what can you give perspective? What is the pink elephant? What can you understand? A couple things to highlight about these is pressure is not a bad thing. It's privilege. It means opportunity. You have the ball and you're pitching near the end of the game, and there's 2 on, 3, like you have an opportunity to have an impact. Okay, basically that's an opportunity. Be grateful. What can you be grateful for in those situations, right? Just like that 32%, the 92% success, like you had the chance to win. Focus on what you can do, what you're grateful for. What about the game is the same? Separate, the context is different, but the game's the same. And reminding yourself of that is important. And can you let go of the results within this context? This is the bottom line. Oh, I can let go of it and making mistakes in practice, not in games. Or I can let go of, walking somebody in practice, or sorry, in a regular part of the game, but not at the end of the game, or not in the bases loaded or whatever. Well, then you've not got the right perspective yet. Okay. And you're not understanding context. So that was option 2. Option 3 now, area 3 is overcoming adversity. So the way to frame this one is a lot of us get derailed. We don't bounce back, deal with adversity very well. We're not like a bouncy ball. We're like, we crumble when we hit the ground. And I'll give you my favorite example of this because I really struggled at this. And this was a year I actually did quite well as a hockey player. I had 74 points in 49 games. So it's like a point and a half a game, which is decent. In my last year of junior hockey. And the way to really frame the adversity got to me was 20 games, I had no points. So 50 games played, 20 of them, almost half, didn't even get on the scoreboard. I was like, what the heck happened? Like, why in like almost 20 games I got no points, and the other ones I did well? Well, I went back and looked, and almost every game I got a point, the 30 games, I often got a point in the first period. Things went well early for me. And then the rest of the game goes well, right? I'm sure many of you can relate. Versus games didn't start off well. Then what happens? I start to get frustrated, down on myself, start complaining. Then what happens? I play worse, get more upset, arousal levels going up, not dealing well with the adversity, not making the most out of my situation, downward spiral, derailed. Okay. Everybody can relate to that to some degree. And I related to that 20 times out of 50 games. Okay. So, and it's like there's still many more to play, still many more minutes to play in that game, yet I'm letting it throw me off. So the ability to reset is crucial. So anytime adversity happens, like teammates make a mistake or they're doing something that bothers you, you blame them, you complain about a coach or something, or the umpire, or make excuses about your performance, or you whine about a drill or anything. All of this is not embracing and in keeping perspective and overcoming adversity. And you're allowing that to hurt you. When you blame others, complain, etc., you get upset about your own performance, you're making yourself worse. It hurts you, not others. So it's a key component. And the way to then really frame this, that failure and struggle is not bad, is this video. It's one of my favorite videos because it's a skateboarder trying to do a hard trick. So what happens when you do something meaningful and try and learn? You fail over and over and over again. You guys want to be elite baseball players? You're going to struggle and fail over and over again. But if you're embracing the failure, you're learning and growing, you're not afraid of it, well, what happens? You get better, you grow. So think about how he's using a reset routine, how he's focusing on the process. Okay, do not try this at home. He's not wearing a helmet. Okay, and it is kind of funny because he's because he fails and stuff. But look for the moments of learning, look for the growth mindset, how he's able to embrace the adversity.
Backbone the stride. Do it for the boys, man. Let's try. I'm sick of doing this, guys. That's it. I found it.
That was it.
I found it.
Okay. So again, it's a good way to think about like life, baseball. When are you struggling? I'm sure you've had struggles. The more you embrace it, you deal with those frustrations, disappointments, the more you can grow. So again, you probably might get some repetitive ones now. What are some of the frustrated points that you get while you play? Is it when you get struck out? Is it, again, errors? What adversities are you having a hard time overcoming? Okay, you throw those in the chat as well. Because again, this kind of a clue that could be a trigger for you. You're getting frustrated, getting derailed by it. Okay. Oh yeah, calls. Right. I've had my fair share of yelling matches, and I used to not deal well with refs in hockey. So calls, errors, weak contact. It's like, oh, like, right. And you start getting frustrated with yourself or others, etc. Slumps. This is like, these things are weighing on you. You need to reset. Some of the keys here: should you or the umpire be perfect? Wouldn't it be nice if umpires were perfect? Yeah, that would be nice, but like, they're not. Like something. So it's accepting that, right? How does the adversity help you grow? Are you growing when those things happen? Can you embrace? Can you learn from them? Okay, become more resilient. Okay, if you just had the easy street your whole career, right? Everything was easy and just succeeded all the time. Guess what will happen eventually when you get to the next level or get to pro? Adversity will hit, and the guy that hasn't had much of it won't deal with it well. You actually, when you're facing adversity at any point in your career, it's allowing you to learn how to be resilient, to embrace things and overcome them, which will serve you down the line as well when things are even more hard or more challenging. Okay. And then the last thing is always coming back to what can you control? So that is a good way to frame the third area. The last one now is confidence again. We want to make sure we play with confidence. And there's a couple quick points I want to make on this one. One is that balance of safe and risk. And I have lots of good discussions on this with especially at bat. And it applies with pitching too, but a lot of times batters are too safe at bat, right? And if you're playing very safe at bat, you don't want to be swinging. You're afraid to swing and miss. And then what happens? You don't swing enough because you're like, well, I want to get walked, etc. And don't want to go out swinging. What you're playing afraid in a sense. And so therefore you're more likely to hesitate and you don't bat as well and you're not taking that risk. And so obviously you don't want to just reckless and swing all the time. You have to find the balance. It takes confidence and the willingness to take a risk and put yourself out there. And that is a huge concept. I'll show you a testimonial later where it can really help improve your batting just by having that right mindset while you're at bat or in your other skills as well. The other kind of concept that then goes into that is like worried about what others think. You're not going to play with confidence if you're like, well, I need to impress other people. I'm trying to seek praise, right? And avoid criticism, right? Or I need to get the scouts to like me or get the scholarship, etc. Coaches, parents, even at times, my teammates. And anytime you're putting all these external people ahead of you and that they're determining your worth, your ability, your confidence, those external things, we need to let that go. You determine your worth. You don't have to be worried about what other people think because you know who you are, right? Think of it like one day you go 3 for 4 at bat, and then the next day you go 0 for 4. Did you get worse? Did you get better the day you're the same batter day to day. You get better at batting over a period of time. But just because you got outcomes one day or not, or just because you got praise or recognition or criticism, doesn't mean you get better. But when you're tying confidence to these external things, okay, you're now starting to play too safe. You start to doubt yourself and overly worry. So again, last question to reflect on, you can throw in the chat is, when do you play too safe? When do you start to doubt, worry, panic, rush, or hesitate? Is it at bat? Is it at a certain point in bat when it's a full count? Okay, 0-2, 2 outs. Okay, all right, pitching. When I'm down, when you're slumping, 3-0 counts. after an error. Okay, great. All graded down in the count. Okay, we start to play safe, right? Start to, get worried. Oh, I can't make a mistake now. Like, oh, am I really that good? Like, start doubting yourself. Okay, all affected. And a lot of you probably had similar answers. The goal, again, when you're thinking of your reset routine, it applies to all of them, right? Anytime you're getting in your own head, it's a time to reset. We want to reset at the start of a game so that you're getting the right frame of mind. And when these things happen, or if things happen, they bounce off you more. You roll over you, or you filter them out, and or it's easier to reset during a game. And the concept here for this one is, remembering that your opinion matters most. You determine your worth. Remember that you can do something. Just because you haven't done it or made some mistakes doesn't mean you can't anymore. And you have to be willing to take risk and make plays, okay, and learn and grow. So, and learning again. So again, lots of good points. I just spent all that time on just this stage, just acceptance, because this is the hardest part, where most athletes don't understand and struggle to get into that clear mind, into the zone, and work on their mental toughness. So I'm sure you guys got lots. Hopefully you made some notes, good things to work on and develop your reset routine. So the other two things, though, to add to it is like, make it a routine. Maybe it's like, I hit my feet, take a deep breath, 3 deep breaths. I close my eyes and focus on what I'm going to do. But don't forget this part, the accept and let go. All right. So with that, I've got 2 other strategies I want to just briefly explain. And we'll go a little over 9 because I think we started a bit late. So that would be maybe 9:05. So Major James Nesmeth is a great example and story of mentally preparing, setting intentions. And it's like, how the heck does this apply? This guy was a prisoner of war for 7 years in the Vietnam War. So how does that apply to you? Well, he did something really interesting during that time, which is to pass his time, he imagined playing golf every day at his favorite golf course. And he would, go through every shot, what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it, how he wanted to feel while he was doing it. So not just the outcome, but the process and the feelings while he was hitting the ball, preparing shots. And then the outcome of that is he gets released after 7 years. He goes back and he goes, I want to play golf, right? Hasn't played golf in 7 years, goes and plays, shoots his best round ever. He usually shoots the 90s, shot in the 70s, 20 strokes better, got a hole in one, right? His best golf ever, and hasn't played in 7 years. Well, why is that? When you're mentally rehearsing and setting your intentions, not just, I want to get outcomes, but like the process for you at bat, pitching, fielding, what are you going to do and how do you want to feel while you do it? And therefore there's a result, but it's all about the process, what you can control. The more you rehearse that, the better you're going to be for it. And especially in times like now where there's limited practice anyways, this is something you can be doing daily. So that's a great way to mentally prepare. And it's something that even during the season, it's not something you just do on game day. Sometimes a lot of people think imagery is just about, think about the results and imagine myself being successful and do it on game day. It's not that helpful. It's like working out once a week. It's okay, but you got to do more to really make gains. So it's 5-6 days a week is where you really start to make progress. And especially now when you don't have as much to do, this is something that's very helpful. So I'll leave it on that one. Again, think about, get a little script. It's 5 minutes, quality imagery, vivid, your own point of view. What do you want to do? How do you want to feel while you do it? All right. The last area to think about then is structured reflection. And so this is definitely something you can be doing in a lot of ways, even right now, because again, there's not as much to do. So this is something you can do and can have lots of benefits. And one of the ways that I'll frame right away is that we talk about structured reflection. Writing it down is way more effective. Just like, I'm going to reflect in my mind and there's no way to track it. So I'll share and give you an example that's a little off topic, but very on topic for right now. I'll stop my screen share for this one, which is right now, it's really easy to be like, this sucks. Everything's shit. Everything's not going my way. I'm getting down and out, getting demotivated. One simple reflection type tool that you can add is starting your day off with writing out 10 things that are going your way, what you can do, what you're grateful for, right? You start your day that way versus imagine if you did the opposite. Oh, write down 10 things that are shitty about your life. Okay, this sucks. I hate this. How's your day going to go? No, there's another thing that sucks. This thing sucks. And then something shitty happens. It's like, well, there's another thing to prove. My life sucks, right? So, and then when you flip it though, and you start your day the other way, what I can do today, what I'm grateful for, what is going my way, even though there's a lot still, like, because they're in a pandemic and there is a lot that is shit, there's still things going your way to be grateful for that you can do. If you do that, you write 10 things down and spend some time and energy on them, not just write a list for the sake of it and go through the motions, but actually, even if it's just 5, but meaningful, like put some time towards that, guess what happens? You're starting your day off on the right foot. So then you see more things that you can do and you're grateful for throughout the day. And when adversity hits or challenges come up, you're more likely to adapt to them and overcome them. So this is just like starting a game off with a reset routine, right? Start your game off with a reset routine, get in the right mindset, and then what happens? When stuff happens, you're more likely to deal with it. You stay more centered throughout the game. So it's a type of reflection that I'm encouraging a lot for a lot of athletes right now, and anybody really, because it is tough, right? It's tough to stay motivated and focus on what you can do. And so that is a big one that I'm actually really encouraging. So I hope some of you adopt that and start doing it. And again, it's more about the process and what it feels like than actually how many you write down or not. And writing it, I find, if I just thought about them or read them, I'd get distracted and wouldn't stay as focused during it. So that's the exercise that I encourage you to adopt if you are looking for strategies to implement. But the other way to think about reflection is after baseball, at the end of your day. What did I do well? What could I do better? It's reflecting and having specific questions for you to help you learn and grow. Because when you self-reflect, you're often becoming more self-aware. It's what you're inputting into your mind. You're training your mind. And becoming more self-aware and working on your mindset does what? What worked, what didn't work. So now you get better at self-correcting. It's shifting your mindset, just like how you start your day. Shift your mindset so like you learn from the past, and now you're more likely to be present in your best self throughout the day or throughout the next game. Right? If you reflect after game, doesn't change what happened, but guarantee the next game, you're more likely to have learned and be in a better mindset the next day. And so this is not just about your mindset, but even just as a baseball player. Oh, am I taking enough risk at bat? Am I playing with enough confidence when pitching? Okay. And you reflect on that, you're going to become more self-aware. It's going to make you a better baseball player. So that is the point of structure reflection. And then again, the way to bring this all together is use your reset routine to get present, okay, in the moment, clear your mind, reflections to consistently learn and grow and stay neutral and centered, and have an accurate self-image. And thirdly, make sure you're doing daily mental prep, set your intentions. And right now, a good thing to do is do gratitude. So there's more to it than this, but those are those 3 big ones. This is the biggest one. And the idea again is to get your best self, to get you in the zone and reach your potential. Now, a cool last thing I'll share to think about is what's your best self's name? Okay, you can be creative. It could be Confident John, not that creative, but if it works for you, you can call yourself that. Maybe it's like, maybe Jeter was your favorite player. So it's like, Confident Jeter, but like you can be very as creative as you want. I had somebody, a swimmer, she's a great water polo player. She's like, I'm a shark over here and I'm Dory the fish over here, right? It's just this contrasting persona statements that encapsulate why you're using the reset routine, using these concepts to be your best self. What is that? And activate that part of you. So you can be creative, something to think about as well to apply. So like I said, we do work with a lot of hockey players. We got lots of testimonials. I'll share one of the baseball players we work with. A good example of doing this work can have an impact, but you have to do the work. This is, I'm a consistency coach. It's not like I can just magically snap my fingers. You have to apply it. So it was a good example where he was inconsistent around pitching, struggling to hit, getting mad on the inside, didn't know how to deal with the adversity. Okay. After doing this work, more confident, knew how to overcome adversity, not afraid when pitching, getting more strikes, and improved his batting percentage from 2 to 400, like 214. So again, I'm not a batting coach, but the concept of your mindset while batting is obviously crucial. Your mindset in all parts of your game matters. So again, the wrap up here is you have to do the work. I hope you got lots of notes. The next part is like, keep now applying it. Don't just like, oh, that was fun, try it for a day and then stop it a week later. You want to do it. Share it with a friend, have an accountability partner. What is your reset routine? Start tracking things, start doing some mental prep and apply it. This helps you get the most out of your physical and technical skills. So, and obviously if you're interested, I'll throw the thing in the chat again. You can fill out the assessment. And then if you're ever interested, there's one-on-one programs and group programs. We do offer extra work where we help go through those top strategies so that make sure you're using them well. There's other stuff we do to optimize. And then we also make sure to solidify habits. So we often give out free intro sessions and you can apply for those. on our website. Here's the last thing I'll say, which is if you do the work, you often get good results. And if you guys are hopefully playing again in a month, you start applying all this stuff for the next month. Hopefully you're coming out flying at the end of the month. Secondly, it builds momentum, right? You keep doing it, you build momentum, you give yourself leverage luck. If once you get it down pat, it's a system and you just keep doing it. It does not remove challenges, but helps you overcome them. This will become very important as you keep rising the ranks. There's going to be more pressure, more demands. You have to be prepared to deal with them. And the last 2 points that I think are very important, and make sure you're having fun. Sport is meant to be fun. Get back to the joy of the game, the love of the game. And lastly, this is not just limited to baseball. These are life skills and they'll apply to other areas of your life as well. So I'll leave it at that. I know we're a bit over, but we started a little late. So I appreciate you guys all listening. You can reach out with any questions. Like I said, I'll throw it in the chat again. You can just click that link before you sign off. And I'll stick around here for a few minutes if anybody's got any questions.
Yeah, Cassidy, we're gonna. I was about to say, first of all, thank you, fantastic guys. I would be shocked if something didn't resonate and hit you kind of right between the eyes in the last hour. So Dr. Preston will continue to be a presence in our program. We're going to use him, small groups, large groups. You'll see a lot of them if you continue in our program. I was going to mention that we will send out the link to your website and encourage anybody who's looking for some one-on-one counseling or sessions, because this is a long-term process, as you said, and it was a fantastic presentation, honestly, and thank you so much for your time, guys. As I said, you'll be hearing more from Dr. Preston as we move forward. It might be in a smaller group, it may be in the same size of group. Coach, the same thing, but fantastic work. Just to share a couple quick stories, if you don't mind, guys. A lot of years ago, long before any of you guys were born, I wish I had known somebody like Dr. Preston. So I showed up, I was recruited to a junior college in Alabama, and I showed up feeling pretty good about myself. First day of workouts, 9 catchers were there, and my dad was only supposed to stay for a day, and then he was going to head back home, and I said to him, "You better not leave. There's 9 guys here." So fast forward a week and a half later, 7 of those guys got cut. I wasn't one of them. I was feeling pretty good about myself. I thought, oh, I'm pretty good. We played a doubleheader in Memphis, and I got the start in the second game. And in the bottom of the 7th, in a tie game with a runner on first, I fielded a bunt from behind the plate, and I went to throw the runner out at first, and I hit him in the top of the helmet. The ball went into the bullpen in right field, and the runner scored from first. We lost the game. So it was a lonely walk back to the bus, and I spent the next hour and a half home thinking, how am I going to call my dad and tell him that it's time to come get me because I'm probably going to get cut? So that didn't happen. We worked for about 3 hours the next day on fielding bunts and creating lanes and all that stuff that we talked to you guys about. So it was a good outcome, but it was a struggle, and it's going to happen to you guys. And I know it happens a lot because baseball is a very humbling sport. So hopefully you guys appreciate the opportunity to have access to somebody like Dr. Preston. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I got a call from a Cleveland Indians scout today. He's based in Houston. He's really interested in one of our former players who's a junior in college. And he asked 6 questions today, and not one of them was baseball skill related. It was, how does he handle success? How does he handle failure? What happens when he gets frustrated? What type of teammate is he? How coachable is he? Is he self-motivated? All the stuff that we just listened to for the last hour. They can do the metrics on the baseball stuff. They can find all the metrics they need on exit velo, on swing path, time to contact, time in the hitting zone. They can find all those metrics, but the questions that they were asking were things that you can't find metrics on. It's the mental side of baseball, and if you don't think it's important, you're kidding yourself. So here's a guy who's probably going to get drafted in the first 5 to 10 rounds this year of the draft, but all the questions were based on mental performance. So it's timely. The call happened this afternoon, kind of out of the blue, so it's timely, and probably couldn't have worked out better for having you on tonight. But I wanted to thank you again for your time and a really great presentation, and we'll certainly be back with the Toronto Mets lots to help guide our players, because I think it's such an important aspect and things that they go through, and it's so much more. I think they have it much more difficult than us old guys who are coaching now did. So there's so many more pressures, and there's a lot of opportunities for them too, which is great. But that, as you said, that comes with certain pressures too. So Guys, as Dr. Preston said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. All his contact information will be posted. I strongly encourage any families or players who want to have a kind of a more one-on-one session to please do so, but he will be back in a group presentation with us and more than once for sure moving forward. So coaches, do you guys have anything before we log off?
Yeah. Do you guys have time for one quick question? I kind of want to, and I thought the presentation was amazing and it's super applicable to every athlete, and here, elsewhere, whatever. I wanted to get your thoughts on one specific thing. You were talking about how guys in bigger situations can sometimes approach it a little bit different mentally. A big spot at the end of a game or anything, big tournament, anything.
Yeah.
I want to get your thought process on when athletes in hockey, maybe you're coming up against a better team and you approach that differently. Whereas in baseball, sometimes a pitcher comes up against a better guy in the box, or a hitter comes up against a better guy in the mound. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so there's one thing to adapt strategy based on your opponents in the situation. In terms of just a mindset, the way that I'd frame it is like bigger situation, $1 million checkers game, big game, tournaments, scouts, really big opponent. You're likely going to get nerves, but nerves aren't bad. And what like that means you care. Like $1 million check, I'd be nervous. Like fire me up. I want to win that $1 million, right? Like, and I get fired up just playing a regular board game. So when you're a competitive athlete and there's more on the line in a way, there is that energy, and so there's kind of more opportunity in a sense. But what matters is channeling it, because your job is the same though. Because like think of it like if I'm in the World Cup, the playoffs, this last game, game 7, World Cup, or I'm playing regular season as a pitcher, your job's the same. Like, and if maybe the situation changes or whatever, or the at bat, but your job's the same to do the best that you can do, and don't let the context change that. Obviously, you might adapt your strategy based on who you're playing. So if you are playing a better team or a better batter, then maybe you need to, they do it in the MLB all the time, right? Like, I'm going to walk this guy. Like, so like we don't need to. So that's a strategy part. But if you're trying to get the out, you want to be strategic, but your mindset is like, your job is to do the best you can do, and not like, oh, now I should be better. And you get, thrown off. And then what happens there is the nerves will use you, right? Instead of you using the nerves. So if you want to channel the nerves, you have to have the right perspective around it. You have to focus on the opportunity, what you can do, and embrace that. So that would be the way, kind of just, it was a great question, because it's, there's lots of little sub pieces, and it's always good to tease it out. But yeah, if that answers your question, Peter, that would be the main way. It's channeling nerves versus allowing them to get the best of you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was fantastic, and I look forward to seeing you soon and having you back with our group for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Okay,
Thank you.
take
Last
care,
thing
everyone.
I'll say, guys, is we're going to see you the last week of February. The schedule is probably coming out this weekend. It's going to be busy. We got lots of time to make up, but we're excited to get back at it, and I'm excited to see everybody at the facility real soon. So thanks for your time tonight. Again, thank you, Dr. Preston. Fantastic, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you, McBride.
Thank you very much, Cassidy.
No worries. Thank you.
Coaches, feel free to stay on.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. All right, need anything from me, Ryan? Or are you talking to coaches?
That's fantastic. Let's touch base in the next couple of days, because I've got some ideas for sure. This is fantastic.
Awesome. My pleasure. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Okay, take
care.
care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You still got Bryce Clark. There he goes.
Just coaches on now, guys.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, that was good.
That was very good.
That was really good. Yeah.
He does a good job of giving a lot of detail, but making it concise at the same time.
Yeah. I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still young enough to relate, right? Which is important.
Right.
Yeah. Well, next time we get him on, we'll make sure he's using batting average as opposed to percentage. But that's fine. He's a good guy. So he came recommended from the owner of the Titans, Joey, who Cassidy actually coached his son in hockey for a few years, and then so he's been doing a few things with the Titans, but he came recommended from Joey, and we're happy to. I'm glad actually, because I thought he was really good. I think if any player in our program walks away from this thinking he's not really talking to me, then they're just fooling themselves.
Who was Oliver? I was flipping through and he was like,
I don't know either. He was
like
wanted to
fucking
ask
writing
a
notes
question.
like a madman.
Oliver is one of my 14.
Is it one of yours?
Oh, okay. Oh, Ollie Brown.
Yeah.
He's got a real passion for the game. Yeah,
Exactly.
He literally probably wrote like a whole book of notes.
that's awesome. He's really passionate.
I saw it looks like Kyle Lloyd was doing a lot of notes too.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Certainly not Kyle Fillier. Haven't heard from that guy in a month.
Where has he been?
Building backyard rinks, apparently, according to Facebook. So it's all good.
He's
he's
working.
been busy.
He's working a lot. He's still going into Mississauga every day, and he doesn't get home until like 8
He
o'clock.
took on a big role with his company. I think he heads up Canadian distribution, I think, or the Canadian side of the company. So
I was actually going to call him to find out what he's doing.
Yeah, I've talked to him a little bit.
Yeah, me too. He's busy. I'm just busting balls. He's been busy. Unlike Rich, who claims his Wi-Fi is down again. I don't know how many times he can go to that well, but whatever.
He said it'd be back up today, didn't he?
Well, so he got all the Rogers equipment dropped off finally, and it's going to be till tomorrow until it's active. So he's. I probably wouldn't want to be a customer service rep for Bell in the last 4 days, dealing with the leeches, but yeah. So, just to share with all you guys, so the fire chief of York Region has been sharing lots of information. York Region actually clicks a lot of the boxes to go back into orange, which is 50 people per session, but the government's not going to take that step. The original plan was to have York, Toronto, and Peel go back into gray, which would not help us. It would mean that we still wouldn't be able to have anybody in the facility, but it sounds like York Region is going to be put back into the red zone as of the 22nd, which is what we kind of finished at, which was 10 people per session, which helps. So I know Rich sent out a schedule to all the coordinators, and it's probably going to get distributed Saturday. So we are expecting to be back practicing the weekend of the 23rd, February 23rd. It'll be 10 people a session. And, all this BS that we heard today from these scientists saying that we'll have a third wave and get shut down again in April. It is what it is. We have no control over that stuff. We got to take care of our business. And honestly, by April, we're going to be outside anyway. So the owner of the Titans is building 2 new fields on private land up in Newmarket. Those fields aren't going to be ready until August, but we're going to put some outdoor cages up there if we have to. And if they shut us down from indoor stuff in April, we'll just go up there and start practicing and do what we can. So I'm tired of hearing all this stuff like you guys are, all these modelists and these scientists. They haven't been right about anything. So hopefully they continue that streak, and they're wrong about this too. So we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. We can only control what we control. I'm very confident we're going to be back inside in groups of 10 starting the week of the 23rd of February. And it's just really what we've said to the parents. We will make up every missed hour that we've had. So do we need to extend the season later in August? Maybe we'll make those decisions as they're kind of presented to us. We had a league meeting or a league call with Leach and myself with Sterney and Robbie. And if we can't travel to the States in July, then we're going to add 20 games to our schedule in the CPBL. And is there an option to travel to other places in Canada in July? Sure, but someone's going to have to present a pretty strong case that we're going to get better competition outside of our league than we would inside of our league. So the one thing I proposed to Robbie and Sterney was let's take May and June and figure out who's who in the league in terms of strength. And then in July, the stronger teams only play the stronger teams and the weaker teams only play the weaker teams. So let's try to create as much competition internally as we can. And if we're able to get to the States in late July, early August, we'll do that. So just so everybody's on the same page, any parent that's asked, and there haven't been a lot lot of them, that's been my answer. Try not to get too far ahead of ourselves. As I said, I think let's focus on being ready to be back in the facility the last week of February, and whatever is out of our control is out of our control, but we'll make the best of it. And if we have to extend the season through April or through August, we will. So I'm confident in a full season within the CPBL, and I'm excited to get back inside the facility. And any questions you guys have, I'd be happy to answer. Because I think what's important is I know you guys have great relationships with your parents, and I'm thankful for that. If they reach out to you, instead of reaching out to me, I want to make sure the answers are consistent.
Question I have is, when you say 10, it's still 10 in the cages and 10 in the field.
So
correct?
that's a great question, Pete. We think so. So we did, before we got shut down, we did talk to York Region Health, and they said as long as we separated our spaces with a vapor barrier, we could have 10 on one side and 10 the other. So that's what we're going to go by. Yeah, to answer your question, yes.
That's better than where we were in November, because
Yes,
we
it
only
is.
had 10 the whole time, right?
Yeah, and the other thing to remember too, and this is something that wasn't clarified until after we were already shut down. So we moved into the gray zone on December 14th in York Region, and that meant we couldn't have anybody in the facility. So we went from red to gray, and then from there we went to full lockdown. But those 10, it was later clarified after. They don't include coaches. So we were building groups with strength and conditioning. We were building groups of 8, factoring in 2 coaches, right? Same with the pitching side. So had we started when we got shut down right when we were supposed to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, the groups are 10 players, and for whatever reason, coaches don't count in that group. So, yeah.
Do we wear a mask for 4 hours, Skip? Yeah.
Yeah. We're definitely, whether the government mandates it or not, we're going to be wearing masks inside.
Okay.
So that's just something we just need to accept and get used to. I'm sick and tired of hearing about variants and they're more transmissible and blah, blah, blah. I haven't seen any science behind it. I'm sure it's out there, but let's just kind of take a step ahead of everyone else, and let's just wear masks and maybe we're more protected than the others. I don't know. Thankfully, we only had 1 case. It was the last day that we had strength and conditioning on December 13th. We ended up having a player test positive on the Tuesday. The other 7 players that were in his lifting group all tested negative, as well as Duncan, who covered that day. So it didn't spread, which is great news. And we probably dodged a bit of a bullet, but all said, through all fall ball and all the strength and conditioning, we had 1 positive case. And for a league, we had 0 positive cases for the fall game. So I think what that proves is we can do it safely as long as we're outside. Let's just get to that point. Let's make the best of it inside. So if we're stuck at 10, we'll make do. If things open up in March and early April and we're allowed 50 in there at a time, then we'll adjust the schedule. But our expectation is that we'll have 10 players per session, probably 2 coaches per session, but we will be wearing masks.
Good deal.
Until we're told differently. Anyway. Yeah. Anything else?
No, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I'm good too.
How's everyone doing? Everyone healthy and no issues, family wise? Everyone's good?
Yeah. I haven't left the house in 6 months.
You must smell just like a dart. So beautiful. You're so beautiful. That's what makes up for it, bud. You can yeah, that's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
I was waiting to light up after this
I
finish.
know you were, buddy. You got to put some hash oil in that shit, man. Light it.
I don't do that.
Talk to
stuff.
Honor.
You fucking liar.
Oh boy.
Honor's my dealer. So talk to him.
The sipper, zinger. Look at him.
You still need more?
Well,
Skip, you're good?
Relax.
I haven't even opened them yet.
Oh, they're delicious.
They're not delicious. They taste like ass.
Yeah. You'll sleep nice.
They taste like gummies. They're delicious.
They're terrible, and I
They're
do
not
sleep like
terrible.
a champ when I take one. They taste awful. I look like
Look at
Avery,
that,
who
he
used
just
to give her
got-
medication.
Right,
Huey.
just fell down.
The mayor of Bowmanville's on.
What's that?
The mayor of Bowmanville's joined us with wearing plaid.
Been here the whole time, brother.
24 minutes late, but who's counting?
Oh,
I let you in, so I know when you showed up.
dude, I was fighting to get onto that. Tell
I bet.
Yeah, he finally emailed him the link again.
It's the Bowmanville Wi-Fi. Duncan too. Dunco too had a hard time at it, and then all of a sudden he showed up.
Oh, I tell you, I even got the new Rogers Ignite. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, talk to
It's
Leach. He's
strange.
getting it tomorrow.
Ignite is great.
It is.
But it's, yeah, that's high speed. That's 5G.
No, it's not totally.
Not 5G?
No.
No.
Well, it depends where you live, I guess. It might be on a 5G network. You're right.
Definitely not in Bowmanville 5G. It's probably like 2.5G.
Easy. We're watching television outside on the back deck when you come to visit.
Just have the heater out there, no problem.
Oh, not. Bo doesn't like being cold, brother. Black guys don't like being cold.
No, thank you. What was I going to ask? Yeah, I think I would just say check for the schedule this weekend. Know when you're supposed to be there, and if you have any issues, let Leach know sooner rather than later. But I'm expecting we're going to be back. I think we're going to be back the last week of February, which is nice.
Yeah, I think it's like the Monday's the 22nd, right?
Yeah.
Monday's the 20th.
When's usually opening day? Usually what, like first week of May?
Yeah. Usually, it's I think it's May 8th this year, 7th or 8th.
Will there, as we progress, be Mets hours if like you sign in and with the kids that want to work?
Yeah. So if we're still stuck to 10 people per hour, we're going to have to do a sign-up sheet like we did last June.
Okay.
But the other thing that came out today, obviously, is that the March break got pushed back to April. So our plan is to just open the facility wide open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. during that March break, or probably 5 p.m. because that's the time our workouts will start. So we'll open the facility from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for open hours when they're off school. And just hope that all these modelists are continue to be just as wrong as they've been. I don't know how you can be 98% wrong for a year in your job and still have a job.
Yeah, but it's like Prosper's Bucks, man. It's all fucking fake, man. Don't trust any. It is, man. It's not fake, but I don't want to be disrespectful. It's not.
Did you see how drunk
fake,
Tom
but
Brady
it's
got?
just-
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
He looked like
Drunkest
me.
guy in the world.
He looked like me at the Christmas party.
He did look like you.
Great.
He looked like Hardy at the Gala last year. Yeah.
Having a good time.
Avocado tequila apparently is potent.
Oh,
Who
man.
knew?
Having
I can't believe he
titles,
threw
man.
the trophy.
What a ride that was. I haven't seen the Bucks good in fucking 15 years.
Deserve it, but
Thank God I don't bet on sports. I would have lost a fortune this week between that game and I thought for sure the Habs, even though I hate them, I thought the Habs would beat the Leafs last night and I'd have been 0 for 2.
Leafs are on fire, man.
Yeah.
I know.
Buddy.
Hey, Leafs are on fire. That's what I do. Hey, Hugh, just DoorDash and listen to Joe Bowen.
You know,
He's a prick, by the way.
You only DoorDash during Leaf games. Is that what you're saying?
Listen, I just look forward to getting back into the facility, and I'm gonna whoever's there, I'm hugging you. I don't have COVID, so
It's all good.
I just want to do baseball, man.
I have 3
Without
rapid
Zoom.
tests for anybody who needs them. Joe Bowen's a prick, by the way.
He's got a
Right.
beautiful
Alright.
voice, so like Jerry
I gotta
Howard,
roll,
man.
fellas. Have a good night.
All right,
I'll talk
guys.
to you guys later.
Good night.
I gotta roll.
Good night, Jordan.
I got a Zoom call with a couple of the boys, but yeah, Skip, I look forward to it, and I'm getting back and
Me too.
getting back to it, guys. So, Petey, thank you for everything earlier with the
no
outfield,
problem.
and we'll get it done, brother.
No problem.
See you soon, guys.
All right,
Alright.
guys, be
Okay,
well, be
Ryan.
safe.
See you, everybody.
Hey, boys.
See you,
Thanks,
Peter.
everybody.
Boys,
Connor.
have a
See you
good
guys
night.
later.